Hi, Dr. K. So this is my discussion for the Alexiad, starting at page 280, 297. And I have my notes right next to me in my book. But anyways, so I want to start out with on page 289, the Sultan arrives to town. And that rumor worried people because he was a leader. He controls, so it made people worried, and even though it could seem as even though the Sultan arriving could be another backup, he's bringing in the forces, Bootamites wanted to keep fighting and kept going. On 298, there you can see that Anna is a woman, and although she might not have been there, but she speaks about, it starts with, however, as Asclepius was a man of war and delighted in bloodshed, he inevitably welcomed battle rather than peace. So day by day there were violent clashes. Just the way she describes how people treat each other and how the war goes on speaks to how, first of all, she wasn't there, and second of all, how she takes in other people's accounts and twists them, or just adds a little bit more detail because she doesn't like these people. You wouldn't say that your friends delighted in killing people and that they would rather fight instead of peace, because most people want peace, I hope. So you would think that, and so you wouldn't want to die fighting when you could be happy, because that's a crazy person. Also on page 300, she describes the Latins as untrustworthy, and a direct quote is, "Through love of money, they were so ready to sell their own wives and children for next to nothing." The Latins were their enemy, but you can see how her being a Christian and her being part of the Byzantine Empire, and how seeing other people and how other people's opinions impact her greatly talks about it. And she doesn't know that these people love money, that they would be willing to sell their own wives and children for it. This is what she hears, this is what she's putting her opinion into. She's not there, so she has to incorporate how she feels. On 303, there is a religion reference, and it's towards the bottom. It says, "We swear as God as our witness," and that just shows God means a lot. People today say with God as my witness, in court, with the Bible, it still has importance. But just the fact that they said we swear, and being so religion based, and being so true to their faith, I'm surprised she said that, because usually we swear, people, at least my mom doesn't want me to say swear to God, because it's kind of using his name in vain and not being good. So I guess either times have changed, or they didn't take it as using God's name in vain and talking bad about him, because them being so them being so full into their faith and being very passionate, it surprised me that she would talk about God like that in vain. And yeah. Another reference is on 304. It says, the Celts asked him for permission to enter the town. They desired to visit the sacred churches there and worship. That just shows hope. Even though this land wasn't theirs, they still wished to travel and still wanted to visit their churches and wanted to worship there, because it meant so much to them that even though this other group had control over the land, they would still be risking it all, almost all of it, everything, just to go and see these churches, to go worship, and just really shows how they feel and how much religion impacts them. sorry, my computer turned off. So on the next page, on 305, towards the bottom, a direct quote is, "That crazy idiot Latinos who had declared to seat himself on the imperial throne, forgetting the emperor's advice, stupidly rode out to the front of Bohemian's lines and galloped on ahead of the rest." She calls him a crazy idiot and stupidly rode. So even though this is Bohemian, so she doesn't really like, this isn't her favorite group of people either, but so of course she's still gonna put her opinion and call him a crazy idiot and stupidly rode. And because of this, like, most of his men were killed. Of course he wasn't, even though he was the one that rode ahead of the lines and got in front of everyone. Of course he made it through, but no one else did. But it just shows that, like, she really puts in her opinion. She really likes to have her opinion heard. And she may not mean to do it, but it's just how she feels, and her emotion comes out in her writing. On the next page, 306, the fourth paragraph down, it says, "This man," and when talking about a certain Arminian, and then near Bohemian, sometimes when people are like, "This man," like, kind of talking down about them, like, "I cannot believe that man did that," or "I can't believe that girl did that." It's like talking down to them, and it's like being demeaning towards this person. It's not, maybe she doesn't know them, but you don't want to be referred to that girl, like, not even using their name, just being like that person, like the other. This is a case of othering. She's like, them, like, they're not, I don't even need to use their name, like, this man, blah blah blah. So my next page of notes, find it. Okay, on page 308, there was, find it. So you can see here that she does not like Bohemian. So it's like the first, after the little blurb, it's like, "The cunning Bohemian loved power, not for the sake of the Latins or their common interests, but for his own self-grandeur." And he loved power. Like, she doesn't say if it's good or bad about him. And it's interesting, in the next page, she says, "His plans and intrigues and deceptions did not disappoint, as the account which follows will make clear." So she, like, takes into account what other people see, but it's just like he's taking it for himself. But she also goes against what she, like, normally believes about them, and is like, his plans, intrigues, and deceptions did not disappoint. So maybe, obviously she doesn't like them, but saying that it did not disappoint means that he, like, followed through. So that kind of it goes against what everything else she's been saying, and it's just a new input that we see that Anna gives to the story and how she feels about Bohemian, and calling him cunning, so, like, smart, and seeing how that goes. But, and then another case of othering that I found also on 308, it's in a little parentheses, and it says, "which the barbarians still controlled." And that's just another case of othering, calling people barbarians. And I'm not sure if this was, like, a bad word during this time, but it's not what you would call someone. And so she called them barbarians. And then the next little part is like, "and from the Turks encamped beyond the walls, Bohemian being a shrewd man." So her take on the same page of calling him, like, saying that he loved power, but his plans and his deceptions did not disappoint, she goes to calling him a shrewd man. And there again is how she feels about him, and how, like, her and him being different people, different beliefs, it really plays a role in how she describes him, because if I took everything for exactly what she said, I would not want to know Bohemond. I would not want, like, she makes him sound like an awful person and just someone who just wants power, wants more land, and will pretty much do anything he wants to get that. And she used barbarians again on 310. The top, it's the first sentence. And it says, the lady herself to the Turkish satraps and the barbarians living in the coastal areas. Just another description of how she views other people who aren't like her. Just as saying them as barbarians and, like, they're completely different. They're, like, not animals, but they don't believe what I believe, so I don't like them. It's almost how I interpretate and how I view what Anna reads about. So, okay, thank you for letting me do a video. Have a good day.